значимость российско-китайского стратегического партнерства как стабилизирующего фактора продолжится. Не сомневаюсь, что и мы найдем с вами возможность встретиться лично. Нацелены укреплять взаимодействие между вооруженными силами России.
Governments have also chosen to willingly overlook each other's alleged human rights abuses. This will be Xi Jinping's first visit to Saudi Arabia. Their ties have been erratic over the past few years, hitting one low after another. Taint relations between the United States and Saudi Arabia.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we will be revealing every single secret about how China is trying to dethrone the dollar. So, without any further delay, let's get straight into the video. China's deteriorating relations with the United States, India's use of non-dollar currencies in its trade with Russia, and Iran's recent proposal for a single SCO currency. Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed to address development deficits through regional integration, especially by expanding the shares of local currency settlements, strengthening the development of local currency cross-border payment and settlement systems, and promoting the establishment of an SCO development bank. Xi did not openly discuss the geopolitical risk of US dollar dependence when addressing the SCO summit. However, his proposal reflected Chinese leaders' deep concerns about the vulnerability of the Chinese economy to US dollar hegemony and their desire to develop alternative systems to hedge against the risk of the dollar's dominance. Beijing is not, for now, attempting to make the yuan an internationalized currency. It does not seek to dethrone the US dollar and replace the dollar's dominance in the global system with the yuan. Instead, it is taking steps to make the yuan a regionally powerful currency through local institutions in China and regional intergovernmental organizations such as the SCO. Beijing wants to increase the use of the yuan in China's cross-border trade settlements and investment, reduce its dependence on the dollar, minimize exchange risk and dollar liquidity shortage, and maintain access to global markets during geopolitical crises. China's de-dollarization initiatives are not only implemented by the central government in Beijing. Some of the initiatives have also been carried out by local governments and local financial institutions. One example is the Sino-Russian Financial Alliance. In October 2015, China's Harbin Bank and Russia's Sberbank initiated the Sino-Russian Financial Alliance as a non-profit cross-border financial cooperation organization. The alliance's primary goal is to establish an efficient mechanism to support Sino-Russian trade, facilitate comprehensive bilateral financial cooperation, and promote the use of local currencies in bilateral settlements. This financial alliance had 35 initial members, including 18 Chinese financial institutions and 17 Russian institutions. When the alliance was launched, Sun Yao, vice governor of Heilongjiang province, said that the alliance is an important platform to facilitate the development of the China-Mongolia-Russia economic corridor. Small Chinese banks that do not have much exposure to the dollar-based global financial system are natural entities to practice alternative payment and settlement mechanisms. By working with Russian entities, they will likely become fluent in implementing de-dollarization strategies to facilitate sanction evasions. Systematically important Chinese banks, such as the Bank of China and the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, immediately ceased processing transactions with Russian entities following the US government's announcement of sanctions against Russian banks. However, the small and medium-sized banks in the Sino-Russian Financial Alliance could help Russian entities evade sanctions using alternative payment and settlement infrastructures such as the cross-border interbank payment system or cash. Harbin Bank is a good example. As a direct participant in China's CIPS, Harbin Bank's clearance and settlement network covers the entire territory of Russia, making it a strong candidate for serving as the hub for cross-border yuan settlements for Russian banks and companies. Supplying Russia with yuan in cash by not just airplanes but also trucks over land transportation is another mechanism that helps Russia evade sanctions. Such a mechanism has been developed and expanded by several small banks in Heilongjiang province since 2018. Xi's in-person presence at the SCO, despite China's strict zero-COVID policy, suggests Beijing is preparing to hedge against further Western isolation by strengthening engagement with China-led regional blocs. Beijing counts on the SCO to provide some geo-economic cushion for Beijing. In the past 2 decades, the SCO has quietly grown into a non-Western regional geo-economic bloc that strives to gain a higher level of collective self-sufficiency and strengthen self-defense against global financial and geopolitical turmoil. China's interest in using the SCO framework to promote the use of local currency for bilateral settlements started before the Belt and Road Initiative was launched in 2013. Chinese policymakers explored options for non-dollar trade settlement after the 2008 global financial crisis. For example, at the 2012 SCO Business Forum, China's then Vice Premier Wang Qishan stressed that SCO members should promote using local currencies in trade settlement, advance bilateral currency swaps, strengthen regional financial cooperation, and develop new financing models. Since 2011, China has signed bilateral currency swap agreements with several full members of the SCO. These bilateral swap arrangements are denominated in yuan and the counterpart currency, allowing the counterpart of the People's Bank of China to access yuan liquidity for short periods at relatively lower interest rates in return for its own currency as implicit collateral. The use of local currency in cross-border settlements between China and other SCO members remains very limited. However, the proportion has increased due to China's push for the internationalization of the yuan in the region. China has advocated for SCO members' cooperation in banking and development finance to facilitate payment and settlement cooperation in the region. In October 2005, members of the grouping created the SCO Interbank Consortium as a mechanism to coordinate funding and banking services for state-sponsored investment projects. The possibility of an SCO development bank suggests a path following in the footsteps of the BRICS bloc comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, building formal institutions to promote the use of local currencies in trade settlement and development financing to reduce exchange risks and the high cost of US dollar financing. But this is still some way off. Members have consistently announced their willingness to continue the discussion of an SCO development bank and development fund at every summit for nearly a decade but have not yet reached a concrete plan. Even if such a bank is eventually established, the primary financial provider is likely to be China and the China Development Bank, at least in the near term, considering the lack of capital in the rest of the SCO member states and the underdeveloped capital markets across the region. The convergence in agenda and institutional setup between the SCO and BRICS facilitates policy cooperation between the two non-Western coalitions and their members on issues such as expanding bilateral currency swaps, promoting the use of local currencies in trade and development finance, developing alternative payment and settlement systems, and eventually reducing the country's dependence on the US dollar. A closer alignment between BRICS and the SCO toward de-dollarization is already taking place. Then SCO Secretary-General Vladimir Norov confirmed last year that the SCO members have been working on a gradual transition to using local currencies for settlements. He also suggested the SCO establish partnerships with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the New Development Bank, and the Silk Road Fund to fully unlock the investment potential of the SCO. More critically, the Western Chinese region of Xinjiang has already become a regional financial hub, emerging as a leading cross-border settlement center between China and Central Asia. Cumulative cross-border yuan settlement conducted in Xinjiang topped 100 billion yuan as early as 2013 and exceeded 260 billion yuan in 2018. Nonetheless, the support to AIFC provided by Chinese financial institutions incentivizes Kazakhstan and other regional SCO members aligned with Beijing's interests. Beyond the SCO framework, China has been advancing the use of local currency in trade settlement and finance through the BRICS platform and other regional multilateral institutions in the Asia-Pacific region. For example, at a G20, PBOC Governor Yi Gang said that China would work with Asian countries to promote the use of local currencies in trade and investment to strengthen regional financial security and resilience against external shocks. In June, the PBOC and the Bank for International Settlements launched a renminbi liquidity arrangement, with the participation of Bank Indonesia, the Central Bank of Malaysia, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the Central Bank of Chile. This arrangement aims to provide liquidity support and can be used by participating central banks in times of market volatility. The United States has long neglected the SCO's existence and expansion. The relationships between the United States and the SCO's two prominent founding members, Russia and China, have worsened. A rejuvenated U.S. alliance system increasingly risks isolating China from the West, on which China has long been dependent for advanced technology purchases and merchandise exports. Faced with mounting isolation risk from the West, the real meaning of the SCO for China is not about its relationship with Russia but about how to make the grouping a cushion for China's geoeconomic security in case of severe Western isolation. This logic applies to other members vulnerable to Western sanctions or seeking to reduce dependence on the dollar, such as Iran and India. However, it certainly can improve the attractiveness of the dollar-based system by resisting the temptation of excessive use of sanctions, reinforcing U.S. financial market connections with Chinese markets rather than aggressively threatening decoupling, and boosting the role of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation Agency for International Development in providing development finance and aid to fund projects conducive for socio-economic growth in the developing world. Thank you for staying with us till the end. Before going, make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss another video.